Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Sunday, October 8th, 2023, only 20 minutes or so after the 49ers beat down the Dallas Cowboys and a couple hours after the Eagles defeated the Los Angeles Rams. What do you have to say about today, Dad?
Well, it was a great day, as you well know. The game was amazing. We were a little nervous going in. We talked about it. We said we were going to be a little bit afraid. We obviously weren't going to pick against our favorite team because an Eagles fan never picks against his favorite team.
Absolutely not.
But we had an amazing day. It was great. The game was wonderful. We had a real fun time. A little bit nervous in that first quarter, maybe a couple of first drives.
Yeah.
But boy, that second half was something to write home about. That was amazing. They did what we were hoping they would do. And, I think we have a lot of good things to say today.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. Yeah, we'll get into all of that. We're going to talk about the Eagles and Rams recap today. We'll talk about, some of our MVP decisions, how some players went under the radar plays, touch on some other things around the league, top plays, some of the games that were important to Eagles fans and everything like that. But before we do that, at Frankie's today, was it 105?
105 was the count. Cool. So, we had a lot of a very good crowd. A lot of people from out of town, a lot of newbies there again. So, every week we're getting these newbies.
Yeah.
So one of these weekends we'll get them all together and we'll probably hit 200.
That would be awesome, yeah. And what did we have the first week? Week one was 107 or 109?
Yeah, it was right in that area.
So 105, that's awesome, dude. For a week 5 game against the Rams, it's not even unprecedented. It's unprecedented,
Definitely.
But, of course, before we jump into it, as always, give a little plug to the Philadelphia Eagles Fan Club of Colorado Springs, the Facebook page. Please go and join it if you're an Eagles fan. They'll ask you some questions on why you want to join the club and who your favorite Eagles players are and all that sort of stuff. For every Eagles game, like we mentioned, we meet at Frankie's on Powers and Galley here in Colorado Springs. Hope to see you there. Hope we bring in some more people. Let's get to 200 next week, right? Yeah. All right, we'll jump right into it. Eagles defeated the Rams in SoFi Stadium in LA, 23-14. Performance overview, Dad. What did you think of the offense?
Well, the offense was amazing from start to finish, and it really felt like, and we said this before the last couple of weeks, it felt like they could score every time they wanted to.
Yes,
I think we hit one bog, one time we didn't move the ball very well. Really, there wasn't a lot to complain about today. The penalties were not there. We didn't get any bad calls. I didn't think anything that really stopped us, which made it nice because last week it seemed like we were getting vendetta against us or something. We just had some pretty bad calls, but we had the tush go, the good tush push went, and the Philly, whatever we're calling it now,
brotherly shove, whatever.
Anyway, that was amazing, and the announcers, even though they dipped into it, that play just cannot be stopped, and we need.
Yeah, so offense I thought looked really well. Passing game looked phenomenal. Hurts 25 of 38 for 303 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Was sacked 1 time, kind of his own fault, held on to it a little bit too long. He had a 65.7% completion percentage. That's pretty darn good. Goddard is finally in the game. I am so happy to see it. I know I didn't choose him this week. I chose him last week as my player I was looking forward to. He was so great today. 8 for 117 and 1 touchdown. Just awesome to see. At 117, I think I have that wrong. I think it was 118, was it?
I think it was.
Yeah, it was 117. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, 8 for 118. Or 117, whatever. And the touchdown, he just looked great. And from the get-go, they were ready to get him in the game. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, once we get him going, and we've been talking about it again for weeks, once we got him going, you knew that they didn't know who to go to and who to stop.
Yeah.
Brown had another great day, but Goddard was definitely the man, and he had that one amazing play down the left sideline that was just incredible. That was wonderful. I need to see that every week.
For sure. Yep. And Hurts through the air, he looked incredible. Had the one interception that wasn't too good. Wasn't very happy about that throw. Didn't think we needed to do it again at that point. Similar to the the Buccaneers touchdown, the Buccaneers interception that we had, as well as the touchdown last week that they threw with time expiring. Not really expiring. Too much time left on the clock, really. I thought that was unnecessary. But, a win's a win. W is a W, and a 5-0 is a 5-0.
Yeah.
As far as the running game, solid day as well. From the get-go, from the early first half, weren't doing too well. In the first half, I believe I saw that we were averaging like 1.8 yards a carry or something like that in rushing.
Hertz ran well in the first, but the actual running backs did not. I mean,
Okay.
I think I saw 1.4 a carry for Swift and 1.5 a carry for Gainwell. But
in the first half,
but once they started to run that ball more efficiently in the second half, it was over. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, they really put it together in the second half. Hertz had 15 for 72 and a touchdown on the day. Swift 17 for 70. Needs more touches in the red zone. We'll touch on that in a second. But Gainwell 7 for 17. That statistic doesn't really show too well. I know 7 for 17 doesn't sound very good, and it's not. It's 2.4 yards a carry. But I really thought he kind of played better than that. He had a carry. His long was only 4 yards, but I felt like he had some really good first downs on the ground.
I remember looking over it one time and saying, he's only getting 2 or 3 yards a carry, but it was first downs.
Yeah, and he was bouncing off guys, breaking a tackle.
Big plays, like you say, there was a 3 or 4 yard carry. Now it's 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6. And that was a few times that they used him, and they really didn't have the big runs today. I mean, I know a few times we were arguing about it, but Swift went left and he went outside, and but it was what you need to do, And at one point I was telling Adrian, you got to keep running the ball, even though it's kind of early in the second half we were getting stonewalled for 2 or 3 yards of carry, but you got to do it. You got to keep doing it, and today was a great day for Hertz. I mean, the way he ran today made us all feel like it was days of old, last year's great running that he did. And, he didn't force it. He forced one, I think. And, we can't have everything we want. But there was one point that it was pretty, I don't want to be negative, but it was why? Why'd we do that there? I think we were at the 10-yard line and he ran straight at the gut. But, other than that, 90% of the time they made the right decision with the running game.
I think it's important to remember as well with the offense. The offensive coordinator, he called his 5th game, and he's 5-0. And it's still not even what we want to be at. It's still not even as great as we think we can be and how dominant we think we could be. So we got a lot to grow, and I mean that's great to hear from a team that's 5-0. Defense really rough in the first half, but they did figure it out. I think we need to remember a lot of young guys are on that defense right now. I mean, Blankenship, he's been playing well. I love Reed, but he's a young guy. He's only his second year. He's only playing his 13th overall game ever, or starting his 13th game. Sure. Aside from Slay and Bradbury, I know they're more experienced, but all the guys that were filtering in playing safety, Evans is older too, but a lot of guys that were filtering in. Goodrich was in a lot. Eli Ricks was in a lot. I think I saw Sidney Brown wasn't in. He was out today. Right. I thought I saw another corner in there every once in a little bit. But Ringo, did he get in? I don't think so.
I didn't see him either. But it just happened so fast.
We just have to remember there's a lot of young guys. Bradley Roby, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yes,
he's not a young guy, but it's his first game back in a long time.
We have 5 days.
Yeah, 4. So you have to remember a lot of young guys on that defensive backside that were playing for their first time today, or starting for their first time, and then Roby coming in off the street. In the end, we ended up with 4 sacks. All of them, I think, came in really big moments. Carter had 2, my boy Jalen Carter, and then of course Hassan Reddick had 2 incredibly clutch sacks to really put the game away.
The last 2 sacks of the game is incredible.
The last 2 offensive snaps for the Rams, 2 sacks. I mean, or I guess it's not the last 2 because then they had the ball back and they ran with the stupid plays.
They shouldn't even take it.
So dumb.
I just don't think there should be a give up play or something where you can just run the clock out because they didn't want to snap the ball either. They have to according to the rules, but it was just. Why? What are you doing? You're down 9. You got 1 timeout, maybe no timeouts at that point. I mean, what are you
got to go 80 yards, and now my guys are going to get hurt. This happened before. Deshaun Hall, I believe, was his name, back in 2019. Last play of the last game, we were up by 20 towards ACL, tackling a guy. Angers me.
One of our practice scout guys who had come up and had a future ahead of him, and he blows his knee out, and then he gets forgotten about.
But so Reddick had 2 great sacks to really put the game away. As far as special teams, Mann had a great punt. Braden Mann, of course, our punter, had a great punt of 41 yards. It got right to the 9. It was a perfect punt, right what we needed to do at the time. Exactly. Yes. Britton Covey, 2 returns for 35 yards, 1 for 20, 1 for 15. Last year there was talks about if he's a serviceable punt returner. There was talks about Is he good enough to be serviceable? Now he's a weapon.
Right. Agreed.
You know what I mean? It's no longer like, okay, go back there and just catch it, or go back there and get 5 yards, 10 yards. Dude,
don't drop it.
This guy could break one soon. I mean, this is a weapon. This is incredible.
Little stat for you there. Britton Covey, 3 20-yard or more yard returns in the last 3 games. So in 3 straight games, he's had a 20-yard return in it. And that's the first time since Sproles in 2014.
Phenomenal.
So, I mean, you think about that, so many people were down on Covey, and even the announcers on television would bring it up. Yeah. But he's really turned into a player, and we were afraid he might not play this week because he was in the concussion protocol. But, we were like, who's going to return punts? And then the first time he got one, he took it back for what?
About 35-yarder, I think, yeah. Or no, I'm sorry, 20-yarder.
That's a huge return.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, he was. His head was pretty clear in order to do those. So, moving on to what do you want to see more of going forward? What's your big point of emphasis you want to see?
Well, the next 3-game stretch, I'd like to see the the passing game continue.
Yeah.
And I think the way they brought Goddard into the game, Quez was in there as well. I'd like to see him and Zacchaeus both continue to get some balls thrown their way. We can't just continually have the A.J. Brown show, but my God, he's been incredible these last 3
years.
Smith kind of one for 6 today, but luckily, thankfully for us, he's not out there sulking or anything. He knows the bigger story is to win the games, and he'll get his balls as well.
We'll get into that in a second because I thought I saw some stuff going on. But I'm going to talk about what I want to see more of. These two kind of go hand in hand, running in the red zone and scoring in the red zone. Right. I know that we can score from really anywhere on the field. We have the deep threat. We have the running capabilities. We have an overall just incredible team that can break a run at any play, any single play, break a long touchdown. But we get to the red zone, and I mean, we had 3 field goals today in the red zone, and we're not running it at the right time. We're passing it at the wrong time. We just can't run it in the red zone. It seems like we're having a hard time. So I want to see some more of that, some more emphasis on the run game.
Maybe better play calling would be what I would call it. But there was times I think it was 1st and 10 or 2nd and 10 at the 10, and we ran it right to the middle. I mean, we didn't do anything fancy. I was talking to one of the guys. I said, what they should have done at one point is bring in 2 running backs and have them in the
split back formation,
and just to see the defense wouldn't know anything that we haven't had that for years.
Oh yeah,
and it's just a ploy, but bring them out there on that point. They don't know if they're going to run left, you're going to run center, you're going to run right. I just it was a little disappointing in the red zone, but again, 5-0, tough game on the road. And we kind of have a little stretch here for the next 3 games. We've got Jets next week. That should be okay. But I mean,
people forget that when you have to fly from the East Coast to the West Coast, it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy on a team to do that. And I think we saw problems with that the other night on who played the other night? Was it the Thursday night game, the Washington and Chicago? Mm-hmm. Or no, it wouldn't have been that. I'm thinking of something else. Right. I thought I saw the other day. It was the Bills today, this morning.
Right.
They were talking about the Bills. Oh, they just look tired out there. It's like, because they had to fly to London.
Yeah.
And they flew there on Friday.
Yeah.
They didn't fly there Tuesday or Wednesday. They flew there on Friday. So they're only there, Friday they get there, and then Saturday morning they get there, and then they go Sunday. So they were talking about that. They're looking tired, and that's kind of like, I know London's a much further trip. But East Coast to West Coast, it's not easy. It's really not easy to do that. But jumping on over to how our players, the selected players we chose last week, each week we choose a player that we look forward to or that we want to see play well in the next game. I believe you chose Sidney Brown, so unfortunately we're going to kind of skip past that one. Skip past that one because he didn't play. I had Devontae, so this one's going to be quick too. Only had 1 catch for 6 yards, 5 targets. Was a little worried because the camera was showing him walking along the sideline, looking a little upset, and then Sirianni had his arm around him at one point, so I don't know if maybe it's just the media trying to recreate the AJ thing that was happening a few weeks ago, but a little upsetting to see if it was correct. I'm not going to make any accusations about it or anything, but if it was, that's a little upsetting. I just think it needs to be known that you've got playmakers on every single facet of this offense. The ball can't go to everyone all the time. Right. There's going to be nights where you don't have a great night. Right. There's going to be games where you don't have a great game. It's just not your night right now. But next one, it might be. Right. And that's what happened with Minnesota. I mean, AJ wasn't around. Nothing was clicking for him in Minnesota. but everything was clicking for Devontae. So things are going to change. You'll see it around. It'll be your night some nights. So I just hope that everyone can understand that.
Just a common goal. We want to win, win, win.
And that's something they can all learn from Goddard, because he just went 4 weeks in a row without getting a pass. But who do you have as your MVP of the game?
Of this game, I was going to say probably Nicholas Morrow, although he made a few goofy parts on there. He missed the interception and he missed the fumble. But early on in the game, and now this is prior to the second half when we kind of put him away. But that first quarter, first half, he was the guy making some of them plays.
Yeah.
I mean, he was up in somebody's face. He was making some quick tackles on some pass plays. Again, he missed the interception that was a beaut right there. Yeah. And we could have used it at the time. But, we've kind of learned this season that, you could take a step back and just wait for the things to happen, and it did in that second half. So, yeah. But he was probably keeping it together early on in the game for our defense, even though they were getting picked apart. He was still playing a big role there.
Yeah, he was a big part of the run stopping group. He blitzed a few times as well. I thought he looked really good as well. My MVP of the game, I try to avoid the quarterback because it's kind of the most obvious position that's going to probably win MVP of the game. But I had to go with Hurts. Aside from the one pick and the sack, those are only 2 plays where he didn't have a great play. I mean, other than that, he was phenomenal. He looked like last year. It looks like we're back to old Jalen Hurts of the runner-up MVP season. Should have been MVP season, whatever. Right. It looked like him. And aside from the interception, the sack, he just looked phenomenal. So I was really happy to see that. So he is my MVP of the game. I do have one last thought on this before we jump into our under the nest plays. Sua Opeta and the offensive line, those were my matchup. Sua Opeta versus Aaron Donald was my matchup of the game, and they did phenomenal.
Yeah, he was amazing. With Cam Jurgens going out last week, we were all afraid that, they're going to put him over top the new guy that's out there. But Opeta was amazing. I mean, he was getting some help with some double teams. They actually showed that a lot during the game today. Yes. Where they've kind of focused in and maybe show a replay. And he was phenomenal. And of course, how many sacks does Aaron Donald have in his career against the Eagles? Zero. That's right.
Happy to see that.
I think he had 1 tackle, 3 assisted tackles.
Yeah, at one point, I think he ended up getting a total of 4 tackles and 3 pressures. Which, if that's what you can limit Aaron Donald to, you won. Even if he gets 4
the best defensive tackles in the last 10 years. So. And a guy that knew that he was having no success against the Philadelphia Eagles line. Yeah. And they continued. They just put it away. And now
I would say one of the best defensive tackles in NFL history.
Now we're 23-20-1 against them in all-time career. So
absolutely
amazing.
Jumping over to our under the nest, this is when we choose a play on offense and defense, if there is one to choose, that had a huge impact on the game and kind of maybe turned the game in our favor, or maybe turned the game against our favor if it were a game that we were to lose. But this week, first one I have on the second quarter. It was a second quarter play on 3rd and 6. Hurts hit Kenny Gainwell for a 7-yard catch. Gainwell broke a tackle to get the first down, and it led to us getting the field goal. If we don't get that, we punt. And at that time, the Rams were almost unstoppable, and they probably score. And then we go down 14-7 instead of 14-10. Changes the outcome of the game. Changes every facet of the game. Incredible tackle break for him to get through there. I think a lot of people forgot it because, of course, later on, Hurts had the tackle break that was incredible for him to get the first down. So that was a huge play on 3rd and 6 for him to get that
shoulder and bang that guy and then went through.
Absolutely. Next one is the defensive play I have on the third quarter on 3rd and 10. Josh Sweat, he forced an incompletion and an intentional grounding on Stafford. Changed the whole momentum of the game.
Didn't think they were going to call that.
No, yeah. And that was the first drive of the third quarter. It was after they had I don't want to say any bad words, but the really bad face mask call that they called on us, which ended up not being a face mask if you saw the replay. They called it on Cunningham, and it was on 3rd and 25, so they got a first down. Well, 3 plays later, forced an incompletion and an intentional grounding, and it got us the ball at the 9-yard line. We were kind of bummed about that, but we drove right on down and wasted a good 8-9 minutes of time to get a field goal that started to put the game away. Didn't do it completely, but it started to really put it out of reach.
Yeah, it's good the way they, we probably don't have the statistics on it because it's too soon after the game, but we had at least 3 drives that were at least 6 to 7 or possibly 8 minutes. And I know in that second half, they only had the ball for maybe 8 minutes. I remember I saw something real quick, but we had the ball that whole second half, and it was amazing. And it kind of stopped them from getting that high-powered, quick passing offense that they had been so dominant in the first half, which we knew was coming. Everybody was talking about it coming that way. Nakua did not disappoint. Cooper Kupp was incredible. But I think after the half, he only had about 23 yards in receiving yards. And I believe Stafford had maybe 50 yards total passing in the second half, which is incredible. Think about it. He had like 160 or something, 75 in the first half. And he ended up with pretty low numbers there. So pretty incredible.
Yeah, looking right here. So they ended up having a little over 10 minutes of time in the second half. We had 9 minutes in the third quarter and 10 minutes in the fourth quarter.
So we had 20 minutes.
Basically double their time in the third half. Yes. And we ended up with 37 minutes, 55 seconds of total time of possession.
Top
as top. Yep. Yeah. And they had 22 minutes and 5 seconds. So we almost, not almost doubled their time, but we were giving it to them.
Some of those drives they had in the first quarter, pretty much. That's when they scored the 7, and I think their second touchdown might have been in the first quarter. I don't know if you have that on your score.
No, second touchdown was in the second quarter. It was right before the second quarter ended because we only had 32 seconds.
So, of course, we always talk about a play of the game, and I think the plays of the game were when we got the ball back with,
32 seconds.
2 seconds left before the half, and drove for a touchdown. And it was a 1-yard run touchdown, which is incredible when you think about it. We had to go, 75 yards probably.
So we luckily got that pass interference in the end zone that they helped us out with. The catch to AJ, his one-handed catch was incredible. It was a 38-yard catch. We're going to get into that one in a second on our list. And then also to add it on a 15-yard penalty because of the horse collar.
Yes.
So, that's 38 plus 15? It's a
53. That got
yard play.
But that got us to the 18-yard line, I believe.
Yeah, about there. And then
the pass interference play. And then we're on the 1. It was incredible.
That's how you do it. Going into the roster rundown, we pulled up 2 people from the practice squad as always. Our punter, Braden Mann, and then we also pulled up Bradley Roby. Makes sense. We kind of knew that was going to happen. Jumping over to injuries, got some good news because this is going to be a fast topic. We did not have any injuries of note yet.
Yes.
I do want to say, I know a new report can come out tomorrow. Someone probably hurt their wrist or ribs or something like that.
Something about it. Yes. Nobody's in a boot. Nobody's limped off.
Yeah. It's not like Cam Jurgens or Cox or Landon Dickerson at some point.
Left the field.
No one left the field. Right. And there was no he was seen in a walking boot after practice. Exactly. Or, he was seen in a wristband. No, as of right now, no injury to be of note, and that's awesome.
Huge.
Moving on to the routing guide. Of course, we're not going to go over the whole thing anymore. We got a little tired of that, but we'll go with the divisional first. This week, Washington lost to Chicago 42-20. Great game for Chicago. Not really a fan of them, so I'm not cheering for them, but anytime the division is playing, I will cheer against them.
First one of the year, too.
Yes, that's true.
Who knew?
Yeah.
After the Commanders pushed us
to the limit, yeah. This is I know I don't want to get too into a rant here, but this is what this season, more than anything, has shown me what we always talk about, the turn of any given Sunday. And people always, we say that a lot, and it kind of bounces off our ears because, we're playing the Jets, so the easy win, But then the Chiefs struggled with the Jets. Any given Sunday, Dolphins, they destroy Denver. Next week, they get destroyed by the Bills. And then this week, the Bills, they get beat pretty bad by the Jaguars, and the Jaguars lost to the Texans earlier this year. So any given Sunday, that's an important thing to say because, the Commanders, they pushed us to the limit, and they almost beat us, and they should have because they should have gone for 2. We don't have to get into that.
Right.
They should have, they had the chance to beat us. They were about to beat us, and they didn't. And a lot of people were kind of like, so the Eagles aren't that good. Well, any given Sunday because they got turned around and they lost to the 0-4 Bears, and they got destroyed.
Right.
So I'm tired of hearing
that. At home, I believe.
Yes, yeah. I'm tired of hearing that.
Well, that's the funny thing about it. It happens every year. Somebody's 2-0. They're the best team in the league. And the next week they lose, and the other team is the best team in the league. And then of course, we just kind of kept our business 5-0. Not the best team in the league. We don't care. We're not there yet. We don't need to be the best team in the league right now. But, it's just funny how it works. And you just sit back and look at that and you're like, okay, guys, whatever. Let's just see what happens in a few weeks.
Well, we've seen many Goliaths fall this season. First week 1, the Chiefs lost to the Lions. What?
Yeah.
It was mind-blowing. Week 2. What was I mentioning earlier?
Well, Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah. They lost to. They got destroyed. No, I'm sorry. The Dolphins. The Dolphins destroyed Miami. Dolphins destroyed the Broncos, and then the Bills destroyed Miami. Right. And now the Bills lose to the Bills lost to the Jets earlier this year when Aaron Rodgers got hurt. It's any given Sunday. I'm tired of hearing the whole, they should win. I don't care what they should do.
That's why I don't pick games or bet on games.
That's why I can't bet.
That's right.
And that's why I don't like doing projections or predictions. Oh, we're going to beat them, but no, not doing that. Moving on, after our rant. In division still, the Giants lost to Miami 31-16. Pretty great game for me in terms of my fantasy league. Cowboys, they lost to the Niners. Great game, 42-10. Phenomenal game. Not to a person who's just a fan of football, but to an Eagles fan. What a phenomenal game that was.
You're sleeping good tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, a great weekend for Eagles fans. I mean, every division team lost except us. We won an interconference matchup, and now we're going to be ahead of the division 2 games, and
it's a good start.
Future's looking bright.
Yes, it's a good start.
Moving out of the division to other NFC important matchups for us, the Saints, they defeated the Patriots 34-0. We kind of do want the Saints to lose, but I'm never against cheering against Bill Belichick, so I'm okay with that. The Lions, they defeated the Panthers, so Lions are still staying up there as one of the better teams in the NFC. It's not a joke. The Seahawks, they were on a bye this week, so that big NFC team wasn't really playing. Tampa Bay as well on a bye. The Falcons, they defeated the Texans. The Falcons were really looking for them to take that division. Or Tampa Bay. I don't really care who does it, but I just don't want the Saints to win it. And then this one, not a division game, but notable just because of where we live in Colorado Springs. The Broncos lost to the Jets, defeated 31-21. Really rough loss. We were watching it right after the Eagles game because there was still about 4 minutes left after the Eagles game ended. About 4 minutes left in that game. So we turned it on the big screen. We were kind of, we were all talking and having fun, but we were kind of keeping an eye on it. And it was kind of sad to see for some of us, but kind of fun to watch for others. But moving on to our top plays around the league, I'm going to hand it over to my dad, and he'll talk about some of the best plays we saw.
Well, for the top plays of the week, we've got one was the A.J. Brown catch, the one-handed 38-yard catch right before the half that got us down and let us score a touchdown. Not just a field goal with 32 seconds left when you get the ball back right before the half. That's incredible, especially since we had a kickoff to them as well. So it was really, you can't describe what a change that made in that ball game. It was amazing. We got the Tyrann Mathieu 27-yard pick 6 against the Patriots. That was always a nice one to see.
Yeah.
The DJ Moore night, Thursday night, he was just amazing. He had that 56-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter versus the Commanders, but he had 230 yards receiving, and it was just amazing how well he played. The big capper was the Dak Prescott 3 interceptions this evening. It's funny because early on, I think they were talking about him, and like they always ramble.
1 interception. He's doing great this year. Last year he led the league, and he's doing so good this year with only 1.
Through 3, and he didn't even play 4 quarters, so that was awesome for us to watch. And it's funny because every year we get the same thing, the build up of the team, and the Cowboys are this and the Cowboys are that, and for us Eagles fans, it was really fun to watch them just really get dismantled this evening. It was just wonderful to watch them. And, here we are, 5 weeks into the season, and the Cowboys are already, struggling. It's going to be fun to watch, the big Cowboy fan shows tomorrow if you're like me and get up early to watch that stuff. And the last one was the Quentin Williams sack on Russell Wilson, and Bryce Hall, he picked up the fumble and ran it 39 yards right there before the end of the game. I mean, it looked like they were coming back. The Broncos were coming back, and then he was running out of the pocket. He fumbled again.
I believe Pat Surtain had the interception at the 5-yard line against the Jets. It looked like the Broncos were going to be able to go down and score, maybe win. And Quentin Williams, he got back there, and Bryce Hall, he was right there for the fumble recovery and put it right away. It was
bounced right in his hands.
It was pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy in the barn, but. That Jets play will kind of move us on to our next topic next week. We're going to be playing the Jets, of course. I want to emphasize we can't look past this team. This is going to be a team a lot of fans and probably players and coaches on our team look past and go, oh, the Jets. A lot of people do that every season, and sometimes they're right to do it. But this Jets team, we can't look past them. They got a great defense. They've got an incredible defense. And Zach Wilson, I'm not saying he's great, not saying he's an all-pro or even a legend. Right. I'm saying he's playing a lot better. He's playing a lot better than we expected, and they gave the Chiefs a really hard time, man.
Yeah.
And then they destroyed the Broncos in the end there. So it's, they gave the Chiefs a hard time. I know the Chiefs aren't the Chiefs this year. They're not the same as always, but dude, they played them really tough, and some questionable calls at the end helped the Chiefs win that game. So, but the Jets, we can't look past this team. We can't pretend this is an automatic win.
Right. And I always hate when they do that. You just got to learn. It's like, say, any given Sunday you can lose to the team that's inferior to you, and you can also play down to the team that you're playing because you think you're better than they are.
That's like
so
the Commanders.
It's every week. You got to be the same way, exactly like the Commanders. You got to. You can't ever go into a game thinking we're going to – I'd rather go into a game going like we did this week going, man, I don't know. Everybody's talking about this. Everybody's picking the Rams to beat us except for on the Eagle chat lines because that's what Eagle fans never do is pick against your team. I mean, regardless of how bad you are, you hang in there. You may not bet on them, but you definitely don't pick against them. And I read about that earlier today, and I kind of posted a few things on some chat lines there for some people that were picking against the Eagles, and and not only do they win the game, they win in a dominant fashion in the second half. We just destroyed those guys. If we had scored when we should have scored, those 7 instead of 3, it would have been another 40-point game.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, the episode that we'll be going over the Jets and Eagles, that'll probably be coming out Saturday if we can record on Friday. Whereas I'm going to go ahead and jump on into our other sports news. The Phillies, I know we haven't recorded in a while, so they already won the wild card series, but obviously, so they won the wild card, and then they, of course, won Game 1 against the Braves in Atlanta. Awesome game. Not as electric as the wild card series, of course, because it's, this is going to be a much better opponent and in their house, but great game by the bullpen. We were a little bit confused by Topper's choice to pull out Ranger Danger so early. I was talking to Steve about that. It really kind of upset me. It upset Steve as well. But in the end, the bullpen, they did their job. They really did what they did best. Kerkering looked great. Strom looked pretty good. He got out of a jam. I was going to mention Harper had a homer, and then mentioning Strom having that get out of that jam, dude, incredible double play by Turner and Stott, him to dive out for that ball and get the ball up to Stott for that double play to get it over to Harper. Phenomenal play, and really good. The Union, they had another draw, 0-0 draw. I kind of had that on my iPad while I was watching the Phillies game, but they're still up there in the standings. Right now, they're third in the Eastern Conference, so good to see. Playoffs going to be starting soon. I don't know the exact date, but there's only, I believe, 2 or 3 more games in the regular season for MLS. Okay. So we're on our way to the playoffs, hopefully, and hopefully we have a really deep run in the playoffs again, and get the championship that was stolen from us last year. But we're not losing points. That's the good thing. We're getting a point for every draw and 3 points for our win last week, so we're getting up there.
There you go.
Union. Other than that, hey, you got anything to touch on or anything to say?
I do not. I already went on my rant about the Cowboys losing and already disappointing their fans. Only 5 games into the season, sitting at 3-2, and losing a stinker of a game tonight. I mean, it just kind of brings you back to what happened to them every year where they kind of had their fall. Now, again, we got to play them twice, so we're not going to put them down too much. But it was for a one-night game to watch them lose 42-10, I believe. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
I do want to mention Leighton Vander Esch went down. Hopefully he's okay. We don't risk for injury over here at our Eagles Therapy podcast, so hopefully he's doing okay. I know he took a really tough shot to the head against.
He's got a bad neck.
He's got a really bad neck, and he took a tough shot in the head against Micah Parsons, hit him right in the rib, and hopefully he's okay. Don't want to wish any hurt on anyone, no matter what team they play for. But other than that, we'll go ahead and jump on to our say our goodbyes. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or X. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, like and subscribe on YouTube. Comment below with any questions. If you're listening on a podcast streaming service, don't forget to rate and subscribe. That way you get a notification anytime an episode comes out. Like I said, next episode probably going to be coming out Saturday morning. But other than that, you can email us any questions or topics at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But once again, from us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles, fly.